we've talked a lot about Hank, here each round, and
Yeah.
do you feel like he and Phil and Don maybe are not only enjoying this but maybe looking over you?
Oh, no, and Mr. B. You forget about the greatest Braves fan ever. Now, I've said many times, there's a lot of bragging going on in heaven right now with all those guys. And, it's been special, too. God, I can't imagine Nuxie, Hal, Hank, all them guys, Don, Mr. B, how proud they would be of everybody.
More questions?
Snit, we've talked about Ian's maturity since day one. Luke Jackson said yesterday he's like a 65-year-old in a 23-year-old's body. Where have you seen him, though, grow the most in the last year?
He couldn't help but grow, I think, because he dropped in here last year. We kind of thrust him immediately into playoffs and he came in, played the pitched against the Yankees. I think his first start. So we kind of forced him to grow up, I think. But he's just getting to know him, from spring trainings and all, just a really mature guy, mature player, kid, man. And he's been through, like I've said before, he's been through a lot in a short major league career. Makes a lot of experiences, pitched a lot of big games here. And, just the more he experiences that, I think the more he's going to continue to grow.
Greg, second one. So I know you've covered this ground before, but for those of us who haven't been to this park and seen the crowd support here, how would you describe how you've seen it grow, kind of take hold of this community, and what kind of advantage is it for you in this park?
Well, it's been really, really good. From the first year that we played here, and I think it's a good product. It's an exciting team, a fun team to watch. I think the whole Battery, Truist Park concept and all has just led to this being a really fun place to come and watch a game, and it is. It's wild in here. It has been all year, really. We've had great crowds from the beginning of opening things up again, and I think I didn't see, but they said even the last couple of nights it's just packed in the Battery, and I know one of the coaches' wives that couldn't make the trip said she cracked her door and felt like we were playing the game here. It's an exciting place to play, to be at, and it'll be wild tomorrow.
Fourth row in the middle.
Two guys who haven't played in a couple months, Stephen Vogt and Jeff Mathis. What is having two very knowledgeable veteran, experienced
It's
catchers
been
around?
awesome having those guys, what they bring and how invested they are. Stephen came on he's another one that we got via trade and made immediate impacts when he came. Caught some big games for us. Jeff did, and then he's been with us all year. Just what he brings. The experience, the knowledge of the game. He's about as both of those guys are about as professional as it gets. I've loved having that influence around and in our clubhouse.
A little bit further back on the right.
Going along the same lines that we were going on a couple questions ago about playing at home and the support that the fans bring. Can you talk about the advantage, if you see it that way, that the series, the fact that it's tied right now, one game apiece, brings to you coming into a place where you guys are undefeated this postseason?
Yeah, no, I think it's real. Braves country is real. It's been around for a while, for a lot of years. This has been a special area, what the Atlanta Braves bring, and it's the fans have come out in droves. I say it's a great place to play. I know the players. I don't know that this group needs a lot more energy than what they have, but I think they can draw on the energy of the crowd, and they enjoy it and appreciate it.
Fifth row in the middle.
If I could follow up on what you said about Hank, and it's like he's the common denominator for you and Dusty, in that you both place a lot of credit to Aaron on starting your careers. Have you ever had a chance to compare notes with Dusty and talk to him about your summer?
A couple times. And, he was kind of, I would assume he helped both of us. Dusty as a young player and me as a young manager coach. Was very instrumental, I know, in both our careers, because I know both of us hold him, just loved the man to death, and for what he did for us. And another one I think that showed up yesterday at the ballpark was Ralph Garr. That I know he had played with Dusty, and he's another one that's just is a Braves true and true. A Brave true and true. I mean, Gator was, and it was great to see him also yesterday. But it's and in different, somewhat similar, I guess, means of both of us.
Mark in the third round, and Heidi.
Got two questions for you. First of all, as important as bullpens are throughout the playoffs, the Astros bullpen has been much better in the postseason than they were in the regular season. Does that put a premium on trying to get runs early and not give the back end of that bullpen, a lead to protect?
And they're really, really good. I mean, it's I think going through this the whole postseason. I mean, that's one of the reasons I think the teams get in this position is the bullpen strength, and like you say, they have a really talented one, and and it's it runs at a premium most of the time. I mean, every now and then we break loose and score, but but it's tough when you get in those bullpens to make things happen.
The other question I had was, there are two rookie starters going Game 3. I think Marwin Gonzalez is the only player on either side who's faced the other guy. Does that give the pitchers an advantage when hitters have no experience against them?
I think. I mean, guys watch they watch tape until they get in the box. They really don't know, what that feel is really going to be. And I think it does have an advantage when you've never seen a guy before.
Thank you.
Heidi?
You guys have pretty drastic home road splits in the postseason. Is there something that you can pinpoint for why you play so much better at home?
I think what we just talked about, probably the crowd being familiar with this place, because the places that we've had to play are rough. I mean, they had that thing closed in Milwaukee, and that thing you talk about loud, and you can't hear, you can't talk to somebody beside you in Dodger Stadium in the postseason, and there's been some rough places to play where we just came from. That they got a great home field advantage there also. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. Just the home crowd, the energy they provide. You're back in familiar surroundings here with this ballpark and everything going on, and I think it does play a definite role in the fact that we do play well here.
Right up front, you're right, Mark.
Brian, a couple questions. One, so far both you and Dusty have made a number of moves in the first two games. What have you thought about the in-game chess match between you and your staff and Dusty and his?
Yeah, no, it's been we were forced into it, I think, a little bit, and as well as him. In the first game, we both lost our starters early in the game and had to navigate through. And I think that's part of the postseason. Is the bullpens are a big part of all that, and so it's been, and I don't really, now that we're in the National League Park, it's probably not going to change. It may get even a little more complicated.
From your position as the opposing manager, what do you think about Carlos Correa with his glove and his arm?
Carlos Correa. I've loved that kid ever since I saw him the first time in spring training when we played a B game, and I saw that kid over there, and I thought, man, that's what they look like right there. The kid is unbelievably skilled and talented young man. He's just such a talented player. I mean, I got a lot of respect for him, and like I say, I've liked him ever since I saw him. Like I say, I can remember a B game that we played over there, and thinking, God, that's what first-round picks look like.
So you have an abundance of lefties in that bullpen. Was that planned entering the series? I mean,
no, it wasn't. It was just kind of how we ended up in trying to take the best team that we could. I mean, we didn't go into it like we have some series sometimes over the course of the last few years. It was just kind of that. Those were the guys that we targeted that were throwing good at the time to put on the club, pretty much.
And with Matzik and Mentor, we know, they're, you don't have to use them as
they're not matchup
situation.
guys.
Yeah, matchup. Yeah. So Did you see if what is the advantage of having that many lefties against this team, against the Astros?
Well, I don't know. I think I don't know that this team. They're such a balanced lineup too. When you look at that, I mean, it's you better have guys that really aren't matchup guys, and we kind of feel that way with all the lefties really that we have, that they're not matchup guys, and and a lot of guys have reverse splits. Against right-handed hitters, against left-handed pitchers, and I don't know that it's an advantage more than it's just that was our best draw, is the group that we brought here. We brought Tucker up, and just he came back, was throwing really well, just as same thing as Kyle. They both had been pitching really well, is why they made this roster.
When you look at your infielders and how they play defensively, how much do you see the influence of Ron Washington, and have you leaned on his experience in past World Series as a manager in this series?
No, I mean, it's what Wash brings is he's in there with those guys and has taught them routine. I think what they do. How consistent? I've talked a lot about how consistent he is. That you can set your watch when by how he does things every day. He's amazing to me how consistent he is, and I think he's passed that on to those young players and helping them to establish a routine that they have in going forward. And I have a whole room full of coaches with World Series experience. So it's just I'm fortunate to have the number of guys that I have that I can go to in any situation.
A couple questions in the third row here.
With Ian, what did you see when he was consistent early and late in the season versus when he scuffled somewhat?
It's feel and command for him, having a feel of his changeup early. And commanding his fastball, trying to stay out of the deep counts, that's a big thing. And you can see the other day he started out and it was really, really good, but that's pretty much early on. You see that, and if to his credit, he never stops pitching. I mean, he never gives in. He never and if he doesn't have it early, he'll usually right the ship and get it going. And he has a really good knack of limiting damage when he's trying to get to that spot.
What's the signal to you early that he's on?
Just the command thing, feel the change up and commanding his fastball for me.
I think on the left here.
Following up about Ian Anderson, when you talk about his growth and maturity, where have you seen the biggest strides? Is it preparation, in-game adjustments? Where have you seen that?
The in-game adjustments as much as anything, and I think he went through. This was his first full year as a major league starter, and he is because he, like I've said many times, he was dropped in here last August, I think, and it probably when he looked back, it was a blur. But then he starts, and people are ready for him. They have videos on him, the information on him, and you have to. That's what the adjusting thing is all about. And I think he's done a really good job of learning how to prepare for a game, to break hitters down. They do a lot of that. And there's a lot of study that goes in, a lot of video, and I think guys, they experience all that, and eventually they come up with their plan and how they develop, just like routine. They develop their routine in preparing for a game also.
Does his age still stand out to you? Do you still kind of look down and say, I can't believe he's that young?
Yeah,
or is it...
yeah. I mean, I've thought that from the beginning with him. He's like a lot of the young greats that we've developed here over the last 100 years or whatever it is. But he's one of those guys you could always have a really good conversation with, and he was serious and focused on what he was doing and the way he handles himself. Just a mature kid.
Mark, go ahead.
Houston's lineup is so loaded, and so much attention gets paid to Altuve and Bregman and Correa and the like. Brantley seems to go overlooked a lot of times.
Crazy. He's another one that. Knew from afar, and to see him now, just how good he is and the professional hitter that he is, and he's such a good player, such a good player.
What is it about him that you think
just
helps him thrive in these situations?
he reminds me when I had Nick Markakis, just how consistent he is and how he plays the game, and you know, he doesn't stand out. It's just when he does stuff great and good, and the at bats are just crazy. How deep he lets the ball get, and he's just a total player. I mean, very professional, and you just tell. And I've spoke to a lot of people that know him real well, and I've had conversations with him, and just I'm a big fan.
I think we have 3 more. Emma in the back.
Curious if Charlie will be able to be here tomorrow, or if you've talked to him anymore.
I missed that. I'm sorry. Oh, there. Okay, I couldn't tell where it was.
Curious if Charlie will be able to be here tomorrow, or if you've talked to him.
That
anymore.
I don't know. I kind of doubt it, but I think he'll be here before the weekend's over.
And on your left on the aisle here.
Other than the pearls, what do you think the reasons are that Joc was so kind of quickly embraced, not just by the team, but it seems like the whole fan base here?
Yeah, well, he was. By the guys have liked him from and loved him from the get-go. I mean, he brings that little edge and that personality that you just don't see all the time, and also that instant credibility. He's been on these stage. He doesn't know anything more than would. Growing up like he did, and he's been in a lot of playoff games, and he just brings a certain edge, and and in the clubhouse, I mean, there's no filter to him, and I think guys respect that, and they kind of gravitate toward him.
Finish up with Marley in the middle.
Hi, Snit.
Hi.
There's a lot of overreaction generally when there's the game 1, the momentum goes this way, game 2, this happens, it goes the other way. Where do you stand on that, on momentum and what winning a game can give you?
Yeah, no, I mean it's every game is such a separate entity. I mean I think it lasts a couple hours after a big win, but then it's kind of turned the page, and I think that's really true. That momentum's as good as your next day starter, pretty much. But I think you don't get tied up in that. I think when you play 162 games, if you get on those swings or whatever, you'll drive yourself crazy, and you just got to kind of take it a day at a time. I think you do this too. We watched yesterday, didn't go the way we wanted it, and take a day off, and we got a new day, and a game to win tomorrow. So I think our guys do a really good job of compartmentalizing that and living in the present.